Welcome to our On Topic podcast. If you're a person who wants to hear and diversify your knowledge on various topics, then you're at the right place. This is a bi-weekly podcast where we bring in various highly accomplished individuals from various backgrounds to provide highly valuable pieces of information and advices and nuggets of wisdom. I'm Isha, and I'll be discussing with Mr. Shee Loke Yang here about building your network and expanding your horizon. And with Mr. Shee Loke Yang as our guest of honor, let's try to introduce him first. Mr. Shee Loke Yang is the founder of On Topic Podcast and is currently a final year chemical engineering undergrad from University of Malaya, where he has completed 5 internships both locally and overseas and has had extraordinary co-curriculum experiences. There he has held 4 main key roles in the university. Now, let's dive into our topic for today with the first question. How would you define networking from your own experiences? And what advantages do you think networking grants an individual in the professional world?
All right, thank you, Isha. So if you put off the connotations of networking, it is actually just about building long-term relationships as well as a good reputation over time. So for me, networking could be defined as how you want to communicate or present yourself with the rest of the world. So networking is all about connecting, and it's often the foundation of success. And why do I say so? This is because through networking, as a student or a professional, you get access to opportunities which could be resulting in advancing your career. And moreover, you could always get fresh ideas and gain more knowledge through conversations. And who knows, you might develop a long-lasting personal relationships where you meet like-minded people with similar goals as you own. Like all my team members in the OT podcast, which is the On Topic podcast, including our beautiful host for today, Miss Isha, and the organizations that we have collaborated, like the GOT-GM, Gathering of the Great Minds from this UN Medical Society, and also this University of Malaya radio stations. So in simple words, build your network like the spreading of the COVID-19 pandemic. And imagine that as long as you have a strong network of professional connections, you can get an answer to every questions, regardless of any topics.
All right, thank you, Shee Loke Yang. So now we believe that sharing your experiences would help to accentuate how important our networks actually are in opening up new doors for us. Would you like to share one of the most notable experiences that you've had as a result of networking that you've done throughout your years as a student?
So one of my notable experience that I have had as a result of networking as a student is it provides opportunities for me to go for the extra miles, to complete 5 internships instead of 1. And usually the universities we need to only fulfill 1 internship, but I go for the extra miles. I completed 5 internships, and that is really it's really it's not an easy stuff. So there is a quote once said by Heraclitus, one of the greatest philosophers. He said that big results require big ambitions, and always be ambitious and courage. Don't underestimate yourself and know that everything is possible. So for my first internship in my university life was because of this motto, giving me the courage to mention to one of the exhibitors when I was participating in this Hong Kong Trade Fair, HKTDC, as a visitor in Hong Kong. So I told them that I would like to have my first internship in China during my first year semester break. Although it is a bit rush, not considering about anything, but because of that courage to mention all about it, and somehow I turned the possibility into something real, and I have successfully secured my first internship in China at their manufacturing shoes company, where they help in manufacturing all sorts of the brand, including Lotto shoes, the New Balance shoes, and etc. So let me further illustrate how it could spread the connection, like spreading like the virus. So from my first internships, eventually I also have established some connections and friends in China. Thus, during my second year, they recommend me, and the process is much smoother, and I was enrolled in a public listed solar energy company in China. So during my internship over there, I always tried to learn and observe as much as possible. So I observed the differences in these Chinese companies' cultures, where you know that their corporate management and the working attitudes of the employees is really, there's a contrast and difference with the Malaysian industries. And with that level of experience, when I was participating and building network at the career fair in my university, I believe Isha was also over there. The HR, one of the HR, eventually offered me an internships, although it was only a month period of my short sem break. I just grabbed the opportunity and gladly accept the offer. And I did my third internship at this Transwater, a local business partner of Amazon, which is a top 500 Fortune company. And they are doing this oil and gas industries, valve and suppliers. So all this experience allowed me to concurrently hold the 4 vital roles in my universities without any issues, and securing my 4th internships in Top Glove, one of the world-leading manufacturer of the gloves. And in fact, I actually just want to share I just completed my 5th internships, which is 1 week ago during my 1 month semester break as the apprentice. Also like personal assistance of this YB Dato Haji Abdul Halim Hussein, who is the Penang State Executive Exco for this trade, industry, and entrepreneur development, where the office in charge of all the 3 main portfolios, including trading, industry, and also entrepreneur. So as we all know, Penang is considered the Silicon Valley of the East, and I was greatly exposed to the Penang Future Blueprint, on which the Penang state government are trying to fill in the gap for this IC design of the semiconductor industries. And furthermore, I was brought around by YB in attending all sorts of events, including those officiate ceremony and press conference of this AMS Osram, one of the leading optical industries in continuously expanding its presence for its further investment. And also I've attended this private networking lunch with the CEOs of the listed company. One of the listed company is from the Marsing Group. And then I attended inauguration of the honorary consulate of the Belgium dinner at the 5 Stars Hotel, where you can meet all the ambassadors from different countries like Indonesia, Thailand, China, Canada, and etc. And of course, I was also attending this one of the CEO forum organized by Samantha, which is the Small and Medium Enterprises Association, where you have people from various backgrounds in all sorts of industries. Well, who knows? My next opportunities might come from there too.
Thank you, Loke Yang, for sharing your experiences. I'm sure our audience can learn a thing or two from it. So in your opinion, what are the methods that university students can make use of in order to readily build their network before stepping into the work environment?
So for the audience, I just want to inform, do you know that Miss Isha is actually my vice president when I was holding the position as the 62nd president of the Engineering Society University of Malaysia, which is one of the, yes, yeah, it's a very good times, which is one of the most competent and prestigious institutes in Malaysia. So in addition of that, I was this 62nd president of the Engineering Society that I worked with Miss Isha as the VP. I also held the position of the chairman of this University Malaysia of Engineering Council. Isha was the secretary of the Engineering Council as well. And then I was also holding the first executive vice president of the University of Malaya Faculty of Engineering Student Union and the deputy chairman for this University of Malaya Penang Undergraduate Student Council. I would say that participating in all these societies is where you discover your soft skills, and of course, it's readily build your network. All these platforms contributed me to expand my horizon. And in terms of building new connections, please do participate in these workshops, seminar, conferences, and to increase the opportunity to meet people in your industries. And you can even take the initiative to take certain positions in these organizations to expand your network. So furthermore, There is one interesting fact that I would like to share, which is all the team members in this on-topic podcast are met through connections, through my societies, through my conferences, through my internships, where we have Ping Yao from USM, where I met her in Top Glove, and then even volunteerism activities where I met Vishnu during the help on the worst ever floods that we have seen in decades that occurred in Malaysia during the January of 2022. So all these things right now I'm sharing will definitely benefits audience. But do you know that one of the purpose that I founded this On Topic podcast is also to create a platform for the audience, which is any one of you who are hearing this podcast, is to help you all to engage with the speakers, as we will be inviting speakers, talking covers a wide range of topics, but it aligns with our mission, which is to empower the youth by learning from the accomplished and experience in discovering broad industries outside of their professions. So if I am like in the engineering backgrounds, I don't have much backgrounds on this business, and that is why we'll be inviting all sorts of speakers with various backgrounds, so that we can get to know more outside of their professions. So do follow our social media and drop a message to us if you have any questions for the speakers, and let OT Podcast to be a strong network of professional connections in helping answer your curiosity.
Thank you for sharing these insights to our listeners, because I'm sure they can learn about how, being involved in university actually helps you in the long run, and you can't just really stick to your books, really. So the next question will serve as a guide for all those who are just beginning to form their own circles. After you've met someone in an event, what would be your subsequent steps in forming a strong connection with them? And I'm sure this is something that a lot of people are struggling with, because they're only stepping out of their comfort zone and, meeting new people. And it's very different from how things are at school. So what would be your advice when you're completely in a new environment, in a different place, just trying to figure things out?
All right, okay. So one of the important tips from me, of course, is we need to create a remembrance point to the others. So one of the most effective ways for me is to share that I would like to share for all of you is that when I'm introducing myself, I would be always saying, my name is Shee Loke Yang, and I'm always Loke Yang. Loke Yang, Loke Yang. So this is how people remember me easily. So this really works, and people recognize me when I was working as an apprentice under this YB. As you know, we attend events where we have a lot of people and get piles of names, because there's a conference, hundreds of people attending it. So we need to create a remembrance point and stand out from the others. So of course, networking helps you meet people at various professional levels, and it is an opportunity to access their wisdom, and career advice is the key to your future growth. So for me, building a connection is not a matter of a quick success. It requires long-term cultivation of the process. So find some common grounds, and also some shared interests with the person is one of the effective ways. So you can check through that, or you can go as simple as possible. It's like, hey, hi Isha, do you know what's your favorite food? What is your favorite food? Because we know that everybody likes to eat. So Isha is from Bangladeshi, so he's living in Malaysia for quite some time. So what is your favorite food in Malaysia? So this is as simple as questions to have the connections with them. So treat them as friends. Invite them to have an occasional lunch to talk about their recent situations. Or even if you want to go further, we have some steps on that. Maybe sending an email to let them know when you see news that the other person might be interested. You can just share to them, and you remember to congratulate them when you know that the other person has received a promotion or an award. Invite the other person to a suitable event, and when the other party makes a request, try to offer your help as much as possible. So after a period of time, take the initiative, to contact the other party to find out whether the help provided is effective, and whether he needs other help. And also don't ignore them when they introduce others to you for your help. And that is because that is where the new connections comes in. And of course, the most important one is always send courtesy message to follow up and try to provide assistance as much as possible. So the goal of building networks is to create a long-term relationship that can benefit both parties. So if there is no effort given and calls are made only when you require help, and that would not be a connection, to be honest, but more of a hi-bye person or even someone whom you could not even reach out in the future, and where you would always be hearing that your number you have down is unreachable.
As we all know, networking requires a lot of communication, and it may be harder for introverts compared to extroverts to get into networking. Could you offer any tips which would help introverted individuals to come out of their own shell in order to build a bigger yet stronger network?
All right, nothing is easy, but believe in yourself and know that everything is possible. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. So this is the mantra of my father that always implemented it to me. The phrase actually inspires me and led me not to be afraid no matter where I am or what I am doing. So first of all, a lot of introverts, even the extroverts as well, they like to assume that someone would never want to talk to them. But you shouldn't assume that, because if you don't try it, you will never know how it will turn out. And the most important part is that you have nothing to lose, You are not losing your voice nor a single cent from your pocket. So just speak up. Imagine if I am not speaking up or having any actions to build my connections or even go elect as the president of my organizations, how many opportunities that I will be lost. How can I meet our beautiful host today, Miss Isha? So I could assure you that I will not be the one I am today if I did not step out of my comfort zone. And there will be also no on-topic podcast as well. So my piece of advice would be start small, or even bring or tag your friends along when you have any events so that you can achieve something bit by bit, and everything will change accordingly. Sooner or later, you will discover there's a huge difference between the present and the past of yourself.
I agree with you over there because, it's something we have to really understand that we won't know something unless we try it. So that is very good advice, Loke Yang. Thank you so much for sharing that with our listeners. So moving on, and this will be my final question to you. What are the most crucial elements in enhancing network efficiency?
Okay, so my most important takeaways for anyone who would like to enhance their network efficiency is that we need to have an extensive general knowledge. And in regardless of you have your guts, you have the courage. Because if you don't have an extensive general knowledge, how are you going to have conversations with them? And how do you want to build a connection with them? So what I would like to highlight is knowing a bit of everything in all sorts of areas, not from your professional background, would help you go further. And that will determine how your circle, your network, your connection is. And this will determine how far you could go in your life. So if you couldn't get these ideas, let me illustrate on how you could be different than the others. So ask yourself, what are the current affairs or current trends? Is it still the Ukraine-Russian war conflicts? Or is it Will Smith slapping Chris Rocks on the Oscars? Do you know what are the latest engineering and technologies we are currently having? What are the social issues we are talking about? I mean, because right now this is a podcast, I'm not expecting any answers, but please try to go find out on that. So imagine you yourself comprehend with the skills of playing all sorts of sports, from badminton, squash, which is quite popular among Malaysians, or even golf, which is some of them consider it as a high class sport. So if you comprehend with all those skills, and also all those knowledge of investment, even bartending, economic, politics, the latest trends on this digitalization, NFT, fintech, or the term net zero that is recently net zero had just announced from this SDG from the climate COP26 not long ago. So you have to know all this stuff. So even if you want to speak with the youngest generation, you have to know about what is the gaming industries, the sports, F1. Even if you want to talk something which is also porn industries is also fine, because like most of the questions that I've received, hey, do you know what is the most hottest porn actress in this porn industry? So grabbing a bit of everything, knowledge and skills in your life could ensure you to also spice up your life. Having to know everything, and with that you can mix with every stage of a variety of people from all walks of life, from children to an adult to an elderly. Yeah, and I think that was my advice.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shee Loke Yang, for taking the time to discuss with us about how networking has worked out for you and how people can, in fact, do it themselves and make the most out of their own situations. And with that, that's a wrap today, folks. All the members of OT Podcast would like to thank Mr. Shee Loke Yang sincerely for being the speaker and our guest of honor for today. We would also like to thank all the audience who are currently tuned into this episode. We hope that today's session with Mr. Shee has been insightful to you. On a side note, if you want to listen to experiences and stories of other key individuals in their respective paths, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified each time we release a new episode. If you would like to be a part of the OT Podcast community, do follow us on our social media pages. All the links to our social media pages are listed in the description. That being said, see you all in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay safe.